Hi, I'm Todd Henderson. Today we're going to install the deck system on this 2017 Ram with a 6.4 bed. Now this is the same install on most trucks. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on the driver's side. I've got the driver's side deck sitting here and it says left driver stamped on it with a sticker. I've got my two ammo cans. I've got the tailgate side ammo can that stands up by itself. I've got the cab side ammo can, doesn't stand up by itself, so obviously you can tell there. And I've also got, this is what they call the vert. This is the vertical portion that gives you support in the center of the deck system. Now I've got this aligned to where this hole is towards the tailgate side. That's where we're going to actually have our axle go through. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my ammo can. I'm going to flip this upside down. Now, what I like to do with these ammo cans is make sure that they can weep a little bit. If you do get water on top of this system, these ammo cans are not waterproof. You can get some water collecting in them. From experience, it's a real pain in the butt to try to get the water out of them. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make a couple of holes in the bottom of the ammo can. We're going to do this to all of our ammo cans. There's actually a couple of dimples to show you the best places to put the holes. I'm going to go ahead and pop the holes. We're going to do that to all four of our ammo cans. All right, next we want to go ahead and install our axles in the ammo cans. So this is my rear ammo can next to the tailgate. I've got two holes in it just because they're mirror images of each other. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this axle in the side that's going to be closest to the tailgate. I've also got a nut that attaches to that axle inside the ammo can. So I'm going to loosely thread that into place. And now I'm going to use a 15/16 wrench to hold that nut in place while I use a 1/2 inch wrench from this side. I'll tighten down the axle. All right, now here is the longer axle I was telling you about that we're going to use on the vert. And we're just going to slide that right through the hole that I pointed out earlier. Once that's in, we're going to go ahead and put that nut in place again. Now I use the same tools as before with a 15/16 and 1/2 inch. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this one down as well. All right, next I've got a structural C channel that I'm attached to this ammo can. So I'm going to lay the ammo can on its back. What you're going to see here is you've got the holes lining up. I've got a round hole here and an oval hole right here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to attach or run my hardware through those two holes, and I'm going to loosely attach the nuts on the other side. These are also nylock nuts, so just thread it into place until it gets to the nylock portion of it where you can't go by hand any further, and then just get a little bit tighter than that with your tools. Tools that are going to be used are a 3/8 ratchet and a 7/16 wrench. I'm going to go ahead and get my cab side ammo can. Again, we're going to see the two holes and we'll want to line those up to the other side of this C channel. So we're going to lift that up, and again we're just going to put those in kind of loose for right now. Okay, so now I've got both of these loosely installed. These should be able to stand up by themselves. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my driver's side deck, I'm going to slide it over, I'm going to set it on top, I'm going to lift this side up, I'm going to slide my vert underneath. Now, what you're going to see is that all of these right here are going to line up to some of my copper grommets that are inside the vert. I just want to drop that into place. Okay, now we've got all this set up. I've got my ammo cans underneath the ammo can holes in the deck. I've got these holes lined up on top of my vert. All right, now I'm on the tailgate side. I'm going to go ahead and line up the threaded holes in the ammo can to the holes in the deck lid. And I'm going to take the hardware the deck provides and go ahead and throw those through, get them lined up and get them started. One thing that's really great about Decked is they give you all of this hardware already in labeled bags. We want to get all of this hardware started before we tighten any of it down on each ammo can. All right, now we got it all lined up. We're going to go ahead and tighten them down. Do not use power tools in this step. Power tools can put way too much torque really fast. So we're going to do everything with hand tools. All right, now we're going to do the exact same thing on the cab side ammo cans. The only difference here is that we don't have threaded holes in the ammo can. What we're going to use is bolts with a nut on the bottom. That's a 3/8 inch head bolt. So we're going to use a 3/8 socket, and the nut on the bottom is a 7/16. So we use 7/16 inch wrench. But there again, we're just going to install all of our hardware here and go ahead and get it tightened down once everything's lined up. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fasten the deck to the vert. Now we are not going to tighten it down at this point. We've got 7 bolts that fasten the two together. I'm just going to use just a socket and extension just to put it in there hand tight. I'm not even going to use a tool to tighten it down yet. I do not want to start compressing this foam seal. So we're just going to put these 7 in place and then go to our next step. I'm going to go ahead and tighten down the ammo cans to that C channel we started before using a 7/16 wrench and a 3/8 ratchet. We're going to do that on both our ammo cans. All right, so we went ahead and assembled our passenger side half. We had that set up onto the vert as well, but we did not attach it to the vert because it's not time to do that yet. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to take our driver's side half and we're going to open the tailgate and set it into the bed of the truck and then slide it up to the sidewall. Definitely want to have a friend to help you out with this. All right, next we've got this J-hook. Now the hook portion needs to grab a hold of the tie down and then also go up through the hole in the ammo can at the same time. All right, what we're going to look for is to go up through the center hole in that ammo can. Then once it's up through there, we're going to throw on this plastic piece here along with flat washer and a nylock nut. Then once we have that in place, we're just going to hold it in place. We're not tightening it down at this point. Let's go ahead and move to our front ammo can. All right, now we're going to use our J-hook again. We're going to go down and get a hold of the tie-down hook in the front and go through that and go up into the center hole again. And just like the front, we're going to put the plastic piece, a washer, and a nylock nut. Don't tighten them down at this point, just get them attached. All right, once that's in place, we can go ahead and put the cover over top of the window and that just snaps in place. All right, now with another set of hands, we're going to want to go ahead and put the passenger side half in place. Now we're going to go ahead and attach the J-hooks just like we did on the driver's side, but we're not going to tighten them down yet. All right, now what we're going to do is attach the bolts that hold the passenger side deck to the vert. We're just going to, at first, just put all these in hand tight, just like we have with the driver's side bolts. Then we're going to go ahead and go back and tighten everything, and we're going to alternate sides as we tighten it. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten everything together, alternating sides, to make sure everything tightens together evenly. All right, now I'm going to take a 7/16 inch socket. I'm going to go ahead and start tightening down all 4 of the J-hooks. Before I do that though, I'm going to make sure everything is centered side to side in the bed. And then when I tighten them down, we're not going to tighten them down all the way. We're just going to get it nice and snug to the bed of the truck. Now we're going to do the same thing on all 4 of the cans. All right, so now we're going to move to the drawer and we're going to start with our handle assembly. So the kit that you've got is going to include some springs. Now these springs are color coded. We have red for right and then blue for left. So I'm going to start with the blue. Now the spring has to fit up underneath here into this cavity, and then this pin is going to go through the spring, through the cavity and then over to the other side like so. So before we can do that, this spring has to kind of rotate this way. The leg of the spring is going to shoot to the inside. It's going to face the leg of this spring over here when that's installed as well. And in order to fit inside there, it needs to actually be a little bit of an angle to nest properly inside. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this spring, fit it up in here, and you can see the leg of the spring sitting right through that slot. We're going to take the pin, slide the pin through, and there you go. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Now that we have both pins installed, what we're going to do is we're going to back those pins out and slide them all the way over to the side here to where they're still, you got a little bit of meat on that portion where the pin's sticking through, but we want to give it some clearance. Now we're going to take our handle, and you see these notches on the handle. This handle is going to come up, and those notches are going to catch the legs on the springs. So once those notches are seated into the legs on the springs, we're going to rotate this handle to where it starts to pull those springs. Now it's lifting the handle up, and the holes on the handle are going to line up to the holes in the pins. Once you get those holes lined up, then you can go ahead and push the pin all the way through. Do that on both sides. Now once those pins are pushed through, we can take our clips and push them through the holes in the pins. Then we're all done. Now, if you bought a lock to go with your deck system, you would install that right now. We didn't opt for the locks because our tailgate locks and you can't get into it with the tailgate closed. So what we're going to do is we're just going to fit the plug in place of the lock. Next, we're going to take our seal. Now this seal can go one of 2 directions. The direction that should go is the blade of the seal needs to face into the box. So once we get that lined up, we're going to push it down and just work it all the way across. If you put this seal on backwards, you actually be funneling water into the box if you get water runs off the top of the deck system. So setting it up this way pushes the water out of the box instead of into the box. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to firm up the sides of the drawer. We're using this brace for that. So what we're going to do, where I like to put this brace, and it's up to you where you put it, but what I do is I follow this channel on the floor. Once that channel ends, directly above that is a dimple. And so we're going to line up that hole on that brace, that dimple. And we're going to take the provided hardware, and our instructions tell us the exact bag where to pull this from. I'm going to line that up and just bear down into the dimple, and it'll cut its own threads. Using a number 2 screwdriver for this. We're just getting that snug. We're not wanting to completely tighten that down, otherwise we'll strip out that hole. We're going to go to the other side and do the exact same thing. Now, if you bought the drain plug along with your deck system, you want to go ahead and install that right now. We're going to go ahead and move along to our corner supports. This is what our corner supports look like. You're going to have two of them for each one of your drawers. They're a mirror image of each other. So what we're going to do, this circle, this cylinder is going to come through this hole here. And then we're going to have a series of screws. We've got 3 extra screws that are short and 1 that's long. The long screw is going to come through this end over here. Once it gets through, we're going to just loosely put on a nylock nut. Then down here at the bottom, we've got a short screw coming through with a nylock nut. This one down here, short screw with a nylock nut. And we're going to go ahead and tighten all of these 3 down for right now. We're using a 3/8 on the bolt side and a 7/16 on the nut side. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side now. All right, next what we're going to do, the 2 bolts we have left for the top, those are actually going to be a part of the side-to-side brace. So those are going to come through and those are going to line up to this right here, and we're going to go ahead and just kind of thread that into place. This is threaded on the inside, has a welded nut on there. Line that one up, line this one up, and we can go ahead and tighten those down as well. Also using the 3/8. All right, next on both sides, we're going to install one of the wheels. We've got the Allen head bolt that goes through there and goes right into that axle we just installed with that corner support. We're going to tighten that down with a 7/32 Allen wrench. We're doing that on both sides. All right, now that you've assembled both the drawers, go ahead and slide them into the deck system. Now the tires will line up to the C channels we installed earlier. And you will want to lift up a little bit on the drawer so it slides in nice and easy. Do that with both your drawers. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to attach our wheels to our ammo cans and to the axle and the vert. Now one thing I did figure out is we actually will need to remove the seal that I told you to put on before. Slide that back in place. We're going to lift up on that drawer, slide in maybe like a dirty 2x4 or something that lifts it up a couple of inches. Now we can take our wheel, take our bolt, fit it through there, and then line it up to the axle on the ammo can. You may have to pull on the ammo can a little bit to get it nice and lined up so you're not cross-threading anything. And in doing that, you may also have to undo the J-hook inside the ammo can to get everything to move around and line up. Now we're going to take a 7/32 Allen wrench and we're going to tighten it down. Now we're going to move to the other side and do the same thing with the axle on the vert. We reattach our seal, and again, make sure the blade of the seal faces to the inside of the drawer. All right, now we're going to go ahead and install our faceplate, also known as the bottle opener. We're going to set that in here, line it up to the factory holes in the vert, and we're going to use the provided hardware with a Phillips head screwdriver. Now we're just going to put this in hand tight. We don't want to over tighten this because we'll strip out those holes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to install our tail plate. We're going to get that set in place and make sure it's nice and centered. Once it's centered, what I'm going to do is take one of our provided screws. I'm going to go up to the top corner. Now this screw is going to make its own hole and make its own threads. So I'm just going to take and bear down while I twist. Don't over tighten that, just get it nice and snug. Now I'm going to go to the opposite hole, do the same thing on the opposite side. Do all 6 of the holes that way. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts. We're here to help you out.